Welcome back to WHI Reports. Our guest in the program this morning, Chris Semarjian from the Industrial Commerce Ltd. company. He's handling some big development projects here around the Miami Valley. One of those that we're going to focus on in this segment, the former Emery UPS facility at the Dayton International Airport. Chris, in your opinion, how much potential does that property hold?
Very much so, Jim. It's a great project, about 1 million square feet of facility on 160 acres, right at 70 and 75. And what's a little unique about it is that it's, from a geographic perspective, it's Vandalia, but from a city perspective, it's actually in the city of Dayton because it's tied to the airport property. So I think it's the best of both worlds, where you can have all the city amenities in kind of a suburban and great interstate location.
Give me a little bit of history about that facility. I know it started as a large distribution point for Emery, then later became UPS. It's been sitting vacant, is a good way to describe it, for a couple of years, and is really not doing anybody any good. You now are going to take your magic touch and apply that to this huge property there that holds all this potential.
Right.
Okay, so how did you get hooked up with this particular project?
Sure, it's a fun project. We've been flying into Dayton for a while because of the other projects we've been working on, and I noticed that there's a big box right on the runway, and we weren't aware of what it was. And we're pretty fluent in who's who, where. And we just couldn't figure it out. So I did a little homework, and we found out it was a former Emery building, and then we got in touch with the city folks and the airport specifically, and they told us what the status was of the building. And we never saw it marketed before, which we thought it was pretty interesting. I guess the airport, the history has it that the airport was actually marketing it to other air users. So we looked at it, we met with the proper folks at the city and with the airport, and we knew that it had a restriction on aviation use only. So that was one of our first things to deal with. We knew that there's way too much capacity on all these airports between Wilmington and Springfield and Rickenbacker, just not enough use. So we thought we can get it changed, and we did. And outstanding facility, really never marketed to the normal industrial marketplace before. So it's really first time on market.
So what is your vision for that particular, and it is a huge and relatively new facility. And it's interesting, when you fly over it, you look down and you see this huge facility right next to, well, right at the airport, and no cars in the parking lot. There's something missing here.
You're right. You know, we need a big user, and we'll find one. We have a development plan that shows that facility being used partially for the air industry. Could be a FBO, a hangar, could be some light production for making components for aircraft. So we do want to still very much have air-related use at the site. We just don't think you can take 1 million square feet in today's world and put that into proper use that way. What most people don't know, I think in the early 2000, between 2000 and 2005, Emery UPS did a beautiful office expansion. There's 100,000 square feet of office that looks as nice as this studio. It's gorgeous. So we see the opportunity there for a call center or an operations center. Parking is unlimited. And in today's environment, all these, you know, they're cubicles and smaller work partitions. People like to jam the amount of employment into a facility. We can handle several hundred people, 1,000 really, if we wanted to, easy in that office complex. Then you have a beautiful, tall distribution center that's slightly unusual because right now the planes are coming in the backside, or were coming in the backside, and the trucks were in the front. So there'll be modification needed. Potentially we can split the building in two and have a couple 300,000-400,000 square foot type spaces if need be. But the location at 70 and 75, the large footprint, the great ceiling height, the beautiful office space, and again, a very advantageous basis in the building will allow us to secure tenants and ultimately jobs.
In the development world, do you have a phrase for that one great facility that you just could move in tomorrow practically, turn the lights on, okay, bring us your jobs?
Right. That, do we in our world? Is that the question? No. Never. I mean, they all are from some industry that was operating beforehand, so we always have to reposition them. Very, very few, and especially the large ones like this. No, there's work to be done.
So what is your vision for that, and how much potential does it have? Like I said at the beginning of the show, we talked about job development. How much potential does that have? It appears as though, as you said earlier, the aviation economy is not going to produce jobs there. That just is not going to happen because there's so much capacity in all those airports you mentioned and even beyond. And just about every airport in this part of the country is looking for tenants right now.
Right.
It's been bad.
Right. No, I understand. The good news is you're at an international airport, Dayton. I mean, it's not some offbeat, smaller community, because we actually own a couple FBOs, and one in Sacramento, one in Akron right now, and they're doing, actually Sacramento's doing extremely well, Akron's doing fairly well. So I think there is more opportunity there than maybe those others because you do have the traffic. However, the building's a distribution center primarily, and it's at 70 and 75, and I don't want to, again, be repetitive, but if you look where Caterpillar went or you look where Target went, that's 70 corridor, especially the 75 corridor. What a great connection point. You know, go up to Piqua or Troy or step down a little bit and see the large distribution centers that are in that region. I think we're going to come out on top.
What is it like for you to have to deal with all these other entities? In a lot of these projects, maybe people don't realize that there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. In this case, you're dealing with a governmental entity. That's a little different than some of the others where you're negotiating with the current owner. You come and take it or lease it. How does this deal work? And I know it can get complicated, as we said, with the General Motors plant. This one may be the same way, or is it simpler?
Well, it was hard. There was a lot of hair on the deal. You know, UPS was technically a tenant, owned the improvements, but was a tenant to the city. We had to unwind that deal. We had to do a new deal with the city of Dayton, excuse me, and we also had the whole restriction use that we had to deal with. So it was fairly complicated. It took us longer than we thought. We thought we'd be done by the first of the year. We closed 2 weeks ago.
That's not too bad, yeah, as things go. Sure. So what is the timetable for that particular project? Will we necessarily see, if we go out to the airport, I stand in that massive, now empty parking lot, would I see anything? Or when will we?
No, you won't. Again, if you look inside, it's like one of those movies in the back of airport cargo areas. I mean, you have conveyors everywhere. Somewhat like Moraine that had assembly equipment, this has huge mezzanines in it to hold up all the conveyor systems. It's not going to be utilized. We're working right now to get that material out. So that's going to take a little while. But again, we're actively showing the building. The building has finally hit the public market sector. And we're going to have a big open house for the area businesses and the real estate community to see the quality, because it was like a little Fort Knox with being inside the fence at the airport. You couldn't get in that place. Just for a showing, it felt like you were going through airport security. So it's a great product, and look in the region. You won't see a nice big distribution center like that until you get close to Columbus.
Very good. We're going to take a break right here. When we come back, I want to delve a little bit further into what this current economy means for developers like you and for us who are out there looking and advocating for more jobs here in the Miami Valley, what that might bring for us in the future. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on WHIO Reports in just a moment. Welcome back to WHIO Reports. Our guest of the program this morning, Chris Semarjian of Industrial Commerce Ltd. He's involved in some big development projects here in the Miami Valley and part of the effort here locally to bring some jobs to the area as well. That's one of my big curiosities here. As you look at the economy and the way we stand now in the Miami Valley, we have been hit probably harder than many, many other parts of the country. We came early in the process. The end of 2007, the beginning of 2008, that's when we started to see unemployment begin to climb. So we were early players in this very bad drama. Now that the economy is starting to come back, we're starting to wonder, when are we going to see those jobs start to return? As a developer, what are you seeing out there on the horizon, whether it's in your particular business individually or collectively on a national scale?
Yeah. I think companies are still trying to wring out cost. We see that consistently. So I think, consolidations will still occur. But I think ultimately that if the core is strong, they start building. I mean, almost every prospect we're talking to has some degree of growth. It might be consolidating 3 facilities into one, but that one will ultimately grow. So I think there's very good prospects. You know, I know that the high fuel prices, everybody's griping about that. It hurts with raw materials, it hurts with transportation, but candidly, it also hurts bringing products in from overseas. So it puts a little more pressure on China getting products here at low cost. So I think you will see manufacturers, both here and abroad, focus here. I mean, there's a lot of population, there's a lot of consumption here. I don't think you can have your super cheap prices and your jobs all at the same time. So I think as you see these commodity costs go up, I think there's going to be some pressure for job growth here.
I want to get your opinion on something, and this is a phrase that I heard when I was out doing a news story recently. The phrase was, consolidation is not a dirty word.
That's right.
Because that one word is driving a lot of the growth that we have at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Yes,
That's bringing all those functions here from different bases. It's bringing some business functions here in both distribution, not so much manufacturing, but especially distribution, where they're taking one or two facilities, putting them together, and trying to get some economies of scale and bring them together. And that's bringing jobs to our area, playing to our growth, mostly on distribution. What do you think?
I agree. I agree completely. I think that you need to be a low-cost provider. You need to be efficient. And I think our facilities can help people get there. Our basis in those facilities can help. We can do the proper improvements to get them to operate efficiently and grow and compete. And that's very important.
I want to thank you for the time in the program. I know things are very, very busy right now. We'll talk later about all those success stories, both at GM, also at the airport, Emery UPS. Thanks for your time. As we close here, I have a bit of a programming note here. I want to tell you about an upcoming special program on severe storms and weather in the Miami Valley. You'll see it coming this Tuesday night, News Center 7, May 31st from 8 to 9 o'clock. We'll have complete coverage of all the severe weather that's been happening around the region. Show you how to prepare your house for the next round of storms when they arrive. Now let's talk about our website, WHIO-TV.com. That's where you'll find information about this particular program or any others on our website, WHIO-TV.com. I'm Jim Otte. Thanks for watching this morning. Have a good holiday weekend. I'll see you next week. WHIO reports.